How do I balance productivity and compassion when team members are also caregivers? Let's get real. I care about my team, but I also have deadlines. I want to be supportive, but the work still has to get done. Sound familiar? If you're a people leader, you've likely felt this tension: support, performance; compassion, accountability. But when someone on your team is also a caregiver at home, it can feel like you've been asked to choose between being a good leader or being a kind one. And what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if you could lead with both strength and empathy without compromising on either? If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Anna Thomas. I'm a physician, leadership speaker, caregiver advocate, and corporate wellness specialist. I help organizations strengthen their workforce and create workplaces where people and performance can thrive together. Even as we enter an era of AI, automation, and agentic teams, the future of work is still human, and that work is changing dramatically. But at the same time, employees are navigating complex personal and professional pressures that are only going to escalate in the coming years. For example, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, we will see an exponential increase in the number of older adults who will need caregiving support. Who will be providing that care? Working adults. Right now, 63 million Americans are caregivers. That's 1 in 4 adults, with more than half of them currently working full-time. Those numbers are expected to increase and will have a tremendous impact on our communities and, yes, even our workplaces. And caregiving is just one example of a personal stressor that will impact the workplace. Mental health, chronic illness, stress, and burnout are all on the rise, and the organizations that will thrive are those that lead with care: culture, awareness, resources, and empowerment. Care. Through this series, I share practical strategies, leadership tools, and insights to help you create cultures that support well-being, strengthen engagement, and retain top talent. If you'd like a clear starting point, then check out my free training, The Future of Work is Care. The link is below. And while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with another leader who is ready to build a workplace that cares. Let's get into today's topic. I've spent years seeing how people show up when they're under pressure. I've seen caregivers hide what they're going through, working twice as hard just to be seen as reliable at work. I've seen leaders who want to help, but they were afraid of setting the wrong precedent. And I've seen what happens when we ask managers to carry conversations without the tools, without the training or the clarity. So this video is for you if you've ever asked, how do I stay fair to everyone? How do I protect the team's output and someone's personal capacity? How do I lead with compassion without lowering the bar? And here's what you'll learn. There's a false trade-off between care and productivity. You'll learn what real compassion looks like at work and how to structure flexibility without creating chaos, and the exact phrases that you can use when the conversations get hard. So let's start with the myth. At the heart of this tension is the story that many of us were taught. If you let standards slide, people will slack off. If you make too many exceptions, you'll lose control. Compassion makes you vulnerable. But here's the truth. It's not compassion that kills productivity. It's ambiguity. When roles are unclear, when boundaries are shifting without structure, when support is given inconsistently, that's when things fall apart. It's not because you were too kind. It's because kindness wasn't backed by clarity. So if you ever thought, I want to be supportive, but I'm afraid of losing momentum, then you're not alone. And you don't have to choose between care and output. Let's talk about what compassion looks like in the workplace. It is not avoiding tough conversations. It is not letting performance slide. It's not bending every rule for one person. But it is asking real questions, listening without rushing to fix, co-creating solutions with structure, making sure people know that they are seen. Compassion isn't about lowering the bar. It's about making the bar reachable when someone is carrying something extra. And when employees know that you'll meet them with care, not punishment, they are far more likely to stay engaged, even during hard seasons. So how do you keep the work moving without creating resentment or confusion? Here are 4 things that make it work. First, clear expectations that are revisited regularly. When someone is caregiving, don't guess. Set goals together. Clarify the timelines. Check in weekly. Maybe you ask, what feels realistic this week, given your current responsibilities? How can we keep moving forward without adding more pressure? Consistency is kind, silence is not. Second is team transparency with boundaries. You don't need to share anyone's private situation, but you can say, we're working with so-and-so to adjust some responsibilities short term. Everyone will be supported. We're in this together. That prevents resentment and opens space for empathy across the team. 3, defined flexibility. Flexibility doesn't mean anything goes. No, it means setting the core hours, allowing adjustment in deadlines with communication, documenting any changes in expectations. Support doesn't have to be spontaneous. It can be structured. 4, realistic load balancing. You don't just shift work blindly for others. You check capacity, you acknowledge their effort, you rotate responsibilities, and if you're stretching someone else, say so. Acknowledge that. I know this is extra right now. Thank you for taking it on. Let's make sure it doesn't become the default. This builds trust across the board, not just with the person who's providing the caregiving, but for the rest of the team as well. So here are 3 scenarios on how to respond with compassion and clarity. Scenario 1, the team member asks for a schedule change. Here's what you might say. Thanks for letting me know that you're navigating this. Let's look at what flexibility we can offer and how we can keep performance expectations clear. Scenario 2, team member is struggling, but they haven't asked for help. I've noticed some shifts in your energy. If there's something affecting your bandwidth, please let me know so we can explore support options. You don't have to go through this alone. Scenario 3, other team members express frustration. I hear your concerns. We are applying support consistently based on need and structure. If something's impacting you, my door's open too. We're building a culture that supports everyone. And when done right, caregiving support doesn't hurt productivity, but it can sustain it. Because the alternative, forcing silence, ignoring stress, refusing flexibility, all of that, it leads to burnout, disengagement, quiet quitting, resentment, turnover. Support isn't a detour from the work. It is the road that keeps people able to do the work long term. And when leaders understand that, they stop fearing the compassion-productivity balance because they realize that compassion is a productivity strategy. So if you want to build this kind of leadership culture intentionally, then start with my free training, The Future of Work is Care. Tap the link or the card above. And if you haven't checked out my book, Workplaces That Care, be sure to pick it up on Amazon. It is your playbook for building a resilient workplace that supports and retains employees. And if you've made it this far in this video, I know something about you. You're not avoiding the hard stuff. You care deeply about your people, about getting the work done right. You don't want to lower standards, but you do want to lead with integrity. You're trying to carry both, and it's heavy sometimes. So here's your reminder. You don't have to have every answer. You just have to be willing to show up with clarity, with consistency and care. That is not weakness, that is leadership. And the people on your team will remember how you made them feel, especially when they needed it most. So thank you for the work that you're doing. In the next video, we're going to talk about, is caregiving really an HR concern? We're going to break down why this isn't just a benefits issue and how ignoring caregiving can touch everything from culture to compliance. While you're waiting, watch how can leaders model care without looking soft. Remember, in this age of AI, the future of work is still human. Let's create workplaces that care together.